Have you ever stopped and wondered what makes a great brand? Truly iconic? Is it just dumb luck? Some kind of lightning in a bottle moment? Well, the truth is, the brands we all know and love, the ones we recognize in a split second, they aren't born by accident. They are carefully, meticulously designed, piece by piece. So let's pull back the curtain and take a look at the actual blueprint for how it's done.
To see just how important that very first step is, let's kick things off with a little pop quiz. It's about a brand we literally all use every single day. So what was the original and very different name for Google?
Back rub. Yep, seriously. Now, while it kind of made sense from a technical standpoint, referencing backlinks on the web, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it? It just goes to show you even the biggest giants out there can start with a name that just doesn't work, which really proves how critical that very first step is.
So that brings us right to the first stage of the blueprint, the name. And I'm going to be clear, this is not just a brainstorming session with some pizza and a bunch of sticky notes. It is a super complex strategic process that involves everything from linguistics and marketing to, of course, trademark law.
According to naming expert Danny Altman, the whole process is actually 20% creative and 80% political. So why is that? Well, just imagine trying to get a room full of executives, marketers, and founders to all agree on a single word to represent their entire company. It's a huge challenge of diplomacy and strategy.
And names aren't set in stone. They actually evolve with the strategy. Andersen Consulting became Accenture to signal a clean break from its past. Datsun became Nissan so they could have global consistency. And, famously, Federal Express became FedEx, basically just embracing the nickname its own customers had already given it. Every single one of these changes tells a story.
Okay, so once you have the name, you need to give that name a face. And this is where we get into forging a visual identity, starting with the most recognizable element of them all, the logo.
To really understand this, let's take a look at the identity created for the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center. Now, the process wasn't about just drawing a pretty picture. No, it started way more abstractly, with hundreds of ideas, including this one, which was inspired by what cell cultures look like through a microscope. And then you get the aha moment. A researcher mentioned that their work is really all about finding that one moment of change, that instant when a cell starts to behave differently. That single insight gave all those abstract shapes a powerful story to tell. It became the core idea.
So the design team took that idea and just ran with it, refining it over and over. You can actually see how that moment of change is now visualized right there in the connection between the two sides of a stylized H for Hutch. The story is literally built right into the form.
And here it is, the final result. It's not just an H inside a circle. It's a whole story of data, of discovery, and of that pivotal moment where a cure begins. It's a truly meaningful identity that was born from a really deep strategic process.
And this just proves what the design legend Paula Scher says. This whole process is intensely human. It's just as much about psychology and diplomacy as it is about design. It's about guiding a whole bunch of different people to a single, powerful conclusion.
So, from the logo shape, we move to its emotional core, color. If you think of the logo as the face of the brand, well, color is its heart, and its power is absolutely astonishing.
Okay, get this. A staggering 60% of the decision to buy something is based on its color alone. I mean, think about Tiffany Blue or Coca-Cola Red. That color triggers a memory and creates an instant, powerful connection.
And color can be incredibly functional too, as you can see with what T-Box did. The world of tea is super complex, kind of like wine, so they created a whole color system to help customers figure it all out. Each type, black, green, white, oolong, gets its own unique palette, which makes a pretty intimidating product feel way more accessible and, well, beautiful.
Now it's time to give the brand a voice through typography. The fonts a brand uses are never, ever a random choice. They're sending you a message before you've even read a single word.
As the famous typographer Eric Spiekerman puts it, type is magical. It sends a subliminal message. A serif font can feel classic, trustworthy. A sans serif can feel clean and modern. Every single one of these choices shapes how you perceive the brand's personality.
And some brands take this so seriously they create their own voice completely from scratch. The Cooper Hewitt Design Museum commissioned a totally unique typeface that they use for all of their communications. They even give it away for free, turning their own font into a public asset. How cool is that?
All right, so we have a name, a logo, color, and type.
The final step is putting all of those pieces together to build a complete, immersive brand world.
The designer Michael Bierut has this great way of putting it. He says the goal is this: a brand should be so distinctive that you can recognize it even if you cover up the logo. It's all about creating a signature look and feel through the consistent use of all these different visual elements.
And there is no better example of this than the Public Theater in New York. You can spot one of their posters from a block away. That bold, expressive typography and the dynamic composition create a visual language that is just so unmistakably theirs. You don't even need to look for the logo.
So, now that we've covered the entire visual world, there's one more frontier that's becoming more and more important. What does a brand sound like?
I mean, think about the Intel Bong or the Netflix Tadum. Sound creates these incredibly powerful emotional triggers. But Google, wow, they took this to a whole other level with their doodle for Les Paul, turning their logo into a playable, recordable guitar. Within 48 hours, people had recorded 40 million songs, creating a truly interactive sonic experience.
So, when you boil it all down, a great brand isn't just one thing. It's a cohesive story. Every single element we've looked at, the name, the logo, the colors, the fonts, and even the sounds, is like a word in that story. And they all have to work together to create meaning and connection.
So now that you have the blueprints, I'm going to leave you with a question. Look around you right now, at the brands in your own life, on your phone, in your kitchen, on the street. Which ones do you think are telling the most compelling stories? And can you now see how all those little pieces fit together?